You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Hi, this is Arlene from Durian ASEAN. Thank you for listening. This is an exclusive Durian ASEAN interview with Charles Santiago, a Malaysian politician and a member of parliament for the Klang constituency. This is one of the 4-part interview regarding the Trans-Pacific Partnership, in which Malaysia is one of the member countries of the mega trade deal. Recently, the Dewan Rakyat held a 2-day debate session with all members of parliament to discuss and vote on the ratification of the TPP agreement. Here's the interview. The Investor-State Dispute Settlement, or short for ISDS, is one of the most controversial part of the TPP provision. How would it impact the state?
The investment chapter is a controversy all over the world. The government believes the investment chapter is important. Why is this important? The investment chapter allows for a foreign corporation to sue the Malaysian government when it sees, especially when the government of Malaysia or any other government changes its laws or changes its policies, say on public interest. But if that change in policy reduces the profits or diminishes the profits of companies, especially foreign companies, then they can take you to a tribunal where you can be sued and you have to pay compensation. Now, this right is only given to a foreign company and not a local company. Now, this essentially have been abused in other countries, and the impact of that is the government will lose policy space, and now the government has to keep in check itself whether it is going to break any agreements, whether it has to be careful, and it has to ensure the government's policy making will be based on fear, because then the government now has to watch it because they can be sued, and if they can be sued, then the government will say, "Oh no, I can't do this. I can do this because I'm going to get sued." Mm-hmm. So therefore, one, you lose policy space, and policy space is very important for governments. I mean, if you don't have policy space in government, what's the point of having a government? Now, the case in point is Australia. Australia, because of Australia introduced the idea of plain packaging. Why did they introduce plain packaging? Because they said that too many people are smoking, people are dying of cancer, and it's becoming a health problem in Australia, and the government has to pay people who are dying of cancer. So they said we're going to do something called plain packaging, which means to reduce the advertisements in the cigarette boxes. Now, that attracted a challenge by Philip Morris against the government of Australia. But before they were taken to the international tribunals, Philip Morris challenged the government of Australia in the Australian courts. The highest court in Australia showed that it is the right of the government, Australian government in this case, to make laws or policies in favor of public health care. But despite that decision, Philip Morris challenged the government of Australia at an international tribunal. And it cost the government of Australia, just to pay for the lawyers and the preparation of the case, something like 51 million Aussie dollars. So it's not cheap, it's expensive. These are things that the government is not considering, and the government says that we need these agreements because we need foreign investors to come to Malaysia. But there are enough studies to show that investment agreement is not required for foreign direct investments.
With globalization, do you think Malaysia will lose out economically to partners like Singapore or Vietnam if it chooses not to sign the TPP agreement?
In the case of South Africa, for example, people who are investing in South Africa are countries and corporations that have no investment agreement with South Africa. Studies in Europe and studies in America, academics in Europe and America, clearly says there is no strong argument to be made that if you have an investment agreement, then there will be an increase in foreign direct investments. But somehow our government is blinded by the fact that you need to have it in order to investments in the country. So this is actually a very blinded approach to supporting the TPP. Why is Malaysia supporting this agreement? And I think a lot of it actually has got to do with geopolitics, pressure from the United States. One of the big things about President Obama's view of Asia is that he wants to make Asia, it's called the pivot to Asia policy, which means that they need Asian countries to be part of their empire, the U.S. empire, in order to stop China's influence in Southeast Asia and the rest of Asia itself.